Hey, howdy-ho everybody! This is Postmortem Nightshade, and thankfully, unlike last week, we actually have a much fuller release scheduled this weekend. So get excited because I'll be bringing you 3 reviews this go-round. But first, I did want to give a small update. I misspoke in my last review regarding Minions and Monsters. I said in that video that Pierre Coffin directed all of the Minions and Despicable Me movies. However, he actually only directed Despicable Me 1 through 3 and Minions 1 and 2. So apologies sincerely for the incorrect info with the directing details. I made a mistake, but I will do my best to prevent that in the future. But the movie we'll be discussing today could not honestly be further from a Minions movie, and that is Evil Dead Burn. While not a direct sequel to the most recent Evil Dead movie, Evil Dead Rise, this film does still exist in the continuity and world that we saw in the most recent film within the franchise. This installment in the world of Evil Dead was directed by Sebastian Vaniak, apologies, I know I probably mispronounced that, who I actually know best for his work on the French film Infested, which is a great spider-based horror film, so gross and creepy. Check it out if creature features are your thing. But our main cast consists of Sophia Jakob, again, apologies with these names, I'm so sorry, I'm trying my best, Hunter Doohan, Errol Shand, Lucille Buchanan, Tandy Wright, Maud Davey, and George Puller. I think for me personally, Lucianne Buchanan's and Maud Davies' Deadite performances were particularly strong. However, our final girl, played by Sophia Yacoub, really steals the show as someone we can easily sympathize with and root for to come out on top of this family situation literally straight from hell. And while it did annoy me that I had seen the trailer once or twice, which ruined some of the film, there were still plenty of gore scenarios, I guess we'll go with that phrasing, that weren't spoiled by the trailer. I also thought that the practical effects were really solid in this one, and while there were a couple annoying and stark uses of CGI, I think the team did really well with the budget they had and kept things looking pretty grounded. One thing that really annoys me is when horror movies will use CGI blood instead of practical blood. That definitely wasn't an issue in here. I think that they mainly tried to use CGI to augment things, and the practical stuff is really, really good. I also thought the themes and emotional drive of the film were extremely solid and explored well throughout the entire runtime, mainly based on how each character acts and reacts as the story progresses. Of course, like with any Evil Dead film, the tension was solid and there was some cinematography shots that I thought were particularly striking. Of course, like with any horror film, it feels like, there were a few times where characters did things that made me shake my fists and say, "What the hell are you doing?" But genuinely, I think they avoided that for the most part. I also did like this film better than its predecessor, Evil Dead Rise. I thought the characters, theming, story, gore, tension, and creativity of the gore scenarios, if you will, were better executed. They also did something new and interesting with the lore, which I really appreciated. And while I still think that the 2013 Evil Dead movie is the best in the franchise, and honestly one of the best horror movies I've seen, I still think Evil Dead Burn did everything right that it needed to. It was pretty gnarly, and there was one particular moment of sound design that stuck with me and still makes me squirm thinking about it now. This film was a solid entry, and one that I feel personally was worthy to be associated with this well-known horror IP. So, on my scale, this film sits just at the bottom of Hey Heidi Alrighty. But let me know in the comments what you thought of Evil Dead Burn, and which Evil Dead movie is your favorite of the franchise. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in, and if you'd like to follow along on my movie review journey, please like and subscribe, and I will see y'all very soon.